What's up, everybody? This is Mike over at foos4trading.com. I wanted to just throw out some content, going into Christmas Eve, Christmas. It's a long weekend. The market's closed on Monday, so I wanted to throw out some content for some of our followers and anybody who's interested in trading to just kind of study while they have some time off. So the topic of discussion today is going to be why whole numbers, especially in small caps, are so technically friendly and is one of the main reasons I trade small caps and day trade small caps every day. I used to be the type of guy to watch Apple, Facebook, some of these larger to mid-cap stocks. But when you move to the small cap world, you just see how they really gravitate towards whole numbers, and whole numbers tend to act as really psychological big areas of support and resistance, which can make it pretty easy to trade because you can expect each whole number to be really important. So the examples that I want to use today that were movers from Friday, the first one being SGLB. This is basically just another former runner. Earlier in 2017, this made a huge run from $1 to as high as $4.60. And it's low float. It's about a 4 million share float. So it has been known to make huge runs. Now, you can obviously, ever since then, you just have this long downtrend, this really nice trend line that's acting as descending resistance. And then once you get the increased volume on this, this had an explosive move on Friday. There was news out that they got some type of contract. So just looking at the 1 minute intraday chart, you have the open, and then you have a perfect F1 pattern over $2. Once again, whole number, these stocks either gravitates towards them, and once they get to them, you can see if they're going to hold it, if that new resistance is going to act as support, which is very bullish, or if they're going to break down back below it. So SGLB, you got major push, and they halted it on about a 20% move within a minute at about 240. So now let's look at this daily chart, guys, going into the halt to look at a play-by-play. There's a lot of resistance, we're going to say, at about 260 for argument's sake. So into the open, if the stock gets above that, it's probably going to see continued upside, possibly towards $3 or $4. So you get the reopen on the halt. You can see that it retests about 255. The second candle makes a higher low, which is very bullish. So you get the basically washout reversal, breakout over 290 or $3. And then once again, using that whole number to gauge, okay, if the stock does hold above this whole number, that could be a very bullish indicator. So you can see ripped all the way to about 370, where obviously we do have some resistance on the daily chart, as well as this was a pretty parabolic move to begin with. But then once we start to retest highs, this is where I played the short on Friday, basically played it from about 340 for the washout. And I was very hesitant to hold because this traded almost the full float within the first hour, basically. So I knew that there was exhibiting float rotation, which is something I discussed in my prior videos. And then you just get the nice squeeze off the flag, consolidating at 3, where I'm sure shorts and longs were watching very carefully. And you can see this volume really does the speaking in terms of where the stock's going to go. Once you get you can see that the volume was just nothing over here. You get the volume push, and then we break out over highs. So again, if you get this consolidation, expect a retest of highs, which is at about 370. So then we get that breakout above, and notice how once again, guys, the classic resistance to support switch. We hit 422, bounce back to 370. We're holding it again. Then you get another squeeze to squeeze shorts out. Now at this point, this is something Foos and I talk about all the time. This is called the one last squeeze, that one last pop that's really shaking out the crowd. So you can see on the daily chart, guys, we're basically at max resistance. 460 to 490 is really, once we get over 6, it's no man's land. So this is where you really want to place your bets in terms of a short. You can see looking at a 3-minute chart, which is another time frame I'd like to use. Once we basically cracked back below this 420. You have your classic intraday head and shoulders pattern. The left shoulder, the head, followed by the right shoulder. You get the breakdown. Quick guide to gauge where the stock could go. Take the difference between the support and the resistance, which is about $1. A break of 360 might send it back down to 270. We got to about 290. And then this just did nothing for the rest of the day. So just a good example of once this cracked 4, obviously it was above 4. That $4 zone ended up becoming resistance, as we came back to retested right here, never broke back above it, and went right back down to 3. So this is just as picture perfect as it gets to show you guys how technical friendly many of these small caps are. Not to mention, this stock was up 200% in one day. You have everybody talking about these cryptocurrencies. Oh my God, they're up so big. These small caps move 200, 300, 400, 500% in one single day. There's not any asset class out there besides equities and small caps that will show you that type of percentage return within a 1 day's time frame. So that's SGLB example. FTFT was another quick one we can discuss. This had news, once again, this BS company changing their name from fruit juice, whatever, to a future fintech, playing off the blockchain crypto hype. And then news comes out that they basically paid $2 million for a blockchain business or to start a blockchain business. This rips all the way up to 670 and never gets to 7 because you can see we had a lot of resistance up here. Now looking at the 2-minute chart, off the halt, guys, once this got over 4, look how perfectly it held over 4. Off the halt, this was at about $5. You get the wash out to 4, holds it, then the continual squeeze. On this breakdown, once we got below 6, again, another whole number, it never came back above that. It actually went right back down to 470 and then struggled to get back up and just faded. So again, another way to use whole numbers to gauge psychological major support and resistance zones. So the last one I want to discuss is SAEX. Former runner. This had a ridiculous rip in the past, and then you can see on Friday, it just had a nice pattern because you could just see this, again, descending resistance trend line. Once this thing consolidated for the past couple days, you can see 2 o'clock. This is a really picture perfect F2 or F3. We get above $2, and then we hold $2, and we get the continual run to as high as 280. So this is just a couple examples, guys, for you to understand, what the rest of the traders out there are thinking, how to use whole numbers to gauge support and resistance levels. Because at the end of the day, guys, doesn't matter what indicator you use, volume and price action are all that matters. And if you can incorporate whole numbers into that, that's really the recipe and the best things to follow in terms of becoming a really consistent trader. So I hope you guys enjoyed this content. Looking to pump these out, once a day. So if you do like it, please like and subscribe. Hope everybody has a great holiday, and I will see everybody going into next week.